prevented the imported case and the domestic resurgence, and stick to the dynamic zero COVID policy. We have to coordinate the COVID response and the economic and the social development. We have to make sure that we take a science-based approach to our containment efforts. We should reject to the sweeping approach for the epidemic prevention and control work. Make sure that we improve our capability for early detection and early treatment. Especially, we have to pay attention to the key population and key regions. Make sure that there's no cluster outbreak in China. We have to abide by different types of measures, and we have to take vaccination as necessary. The topic for today's press conference is to coordinate COVID response with production of key industry. We are glad to be joined by Madame Tao Qing from Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, Mr. Song Danyang from Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, and also Deputy Head of the Department of Agricultural Mechanization of Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Wang Jiayun, and also Mr. Lei Zhenglong from National Health Commission, and they will take your questions. Now the floor is open for questions. Please identify your media affiliation before you raise the question. Now the floor is open.
主持人好，每日经济新闻宏观频道记者提问。我们注意到，
With Economy
我国新
Daily,
增本土确诊病
we
例
are aware
和
that
症状感染者
for
数量
the
继续下降。请问
local
近几日
cases and
我国疫情
asymptomatic
形势有哪
cases,
些
the
变化？
number have
是
been
否意味着疫
declining.
情防控
Are
会
there
再松
any
一口
changes
气？
of the
谢谢。
epidemic situation? Does that mean we could relax our prevention and control measures? I would like to give the floor to Mr. Lei Zhenglong to answer your question.
目前全国疫
Thank you
情
for your
出现
question.
稳定下降的态势。
So right now, the situation is getting better and more stable
全国新增
since
本土感
May
染
the
者数
30th.
已经连续3天降至
The
1万例以下
newly confirmed new cases
仍有小
have
幅波
been
动。
registered less than 100 cases, but there may be some fluctuations in certain places.
但社会面
And we
疫情
have
仍
turned
连
into a
续出
stage
现
of the routine prevention and control measures, but still we may have some sporadic cases in different parts of
持
China.
续下降。
For the new cases reported in Beijing, we also see a decline trend. The situation is improving. For Fengtai District, Changping District,
提示
we have
个别
some
接症
community
仍有
transmission
局部
cases.
社区传播风险。
We want to remind to the communities that we have to stay alert.
感染来
For
源尚不
Jilin
明
and
确，
Liaoning, there are
疫
also
情
some
扩散风险较高。
sporadic cases, and also we have this risk of the spreading of the virus. For Tianjin, Sichuan, even though we reported certain cases, but these cases are found from
当
the
前全国疫情
quarantine
防控
site.
形势依
So
然严
the
峻复杂。
risk is controllable. Right now, the
端午假
situation is
期
still
仍有严重
complex
和具体
and
性活
severe.
动
Especially during the Dragon Boat Festival, there may be some population flow, and this will also increase the risk
国家疾控局
of the
将
transmission of the
继续指
virus.
导各地依
For
法
the
落实
National
疫情
Health
防控措施
Commission, will continue to guide the localities
科
for
学
the
精
prevention
准
and
做好
control
常态化疫
measures.
情防控
We
和
have
应
to
急
take
处置工作
science-based approach
强
on the
化
prevention
疫
and
情
control
监
work,
测预警，
and
强
also
化
we will
重点
improve
环节
our
和重
monitoring
点场所
system.
疫情防控，
We have to focusing
引
on
导
the
人
key
员有序
areas
流动，
and the key
杜绝
facilities. We will
强化
guide our people on
比如上海
scientific
昨天进入全面
population
正
flow.
常生
And
产生活
yesterday
复
we
阶
will
段
see the
从
lockdown
上海返
has
回的人
been
员
had
有
been
可能
lifted
逐渐
from
增多。
Shanghai,
各
and
地要
we
细
may
化工作方案，不能
expect to
简单
receive
化，
people
也不能
coming
一刀
from
切，
Shanghai
不
in
能整加
different
要不断提升常
cities,
态化
so
疫
we
情防控的
should
精度、
reject to the
准度，巩固
sweeping
现有的
approach.
疫情防控成果。
We need to
促进
take
社
more
会生产
science-based
生活
approach
有序开
and
展。
consolidate
谢谢。
our efforts so
好，
as
谢谢。
to
请继续提
resume
问。
the social
好，
production.
先来
Thank you.
请
Next
第
question,
二
please.
排第3位女记者。
谢谢主持人，中央广播电视总台财经节目中心记者提问。
With
疫情
CMG,
发生以来，我国制造业的
since
企
the
业
outbreak
生
of
产
the
经营受
epidemic,
到了较大的影响。我们看到
so we
4
may
月
see
份的
there's a
工业
big
增加
impact
值
on the
增速是有所下滑的。
manufacturing
那么
industry
请问在
and
提
also
振工业
see
经济方面，
there
工业
is
和
a
信息化部
decline
有哪些举
of
措？
the
谢谢。
industry performance.
Hao-Qing
So I would like to
Hao-Qing
understand what
女士来回答
measures will
这个
be taken by MIIT to stabilize the industry performance. Thank you for your question. Since late March, because of the epidemic and other external factors, we may see some of the impact. For example, the profits of industry enterprises above designated size have seen some decline in their growth. However, with the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, since May, we could see the economy has been rebounding. For example, in Jilin province, for all the 50 key enterprises, all the work have been resumed, and also the working precision rate is over 90%, and the resumption rate is higher than 80%. So in Shanghai, and also for the throughput of the container is also resumed 90%. And for different added value of the industry above designated size has also registered certain number of improvements. And earlier, we have received and attended a number of video conference, and we are be guided by our Minister of MIIT. We will follow the deployment from CPC Central Committee and the State Council. We have to take responsibility so as to make our contribution to stabilize the fundamental of the economy. So we have to firm up our confidence. We have to take the following measures. First, we need to implement more effective policies. For the State Council, it also launched a number of measures, for example, to alleviate some of the burden of the SMEs. So all of these measures are in great need for the enterprises. We have to make sure that for all of these enterprises, they could benefit from these favorable policies. And we would like to provide more support for the enterprises. And also, we have to make sure that we could ensure a stable supply chain and demand and supply relations. So right now we are seeing that still for some places there were some people are not able to go back to their work position. So in this case, we have to pay attention to the key enterprises and the key areas. First of all, we have to provide more subsidies and support to the enterprises. And for some of the key industries, for example, the automobiles and also the integrated circuit, we need to provide more support. And also we need to provide point-to-point support. Third, we need to step up our efforts to alleviate the burdens of the SMEs, making sure that all of these SMEs could be benefiting from the policies that has been rolled out by the State Council. And also we have to make sure that we could improve the performance of the SMEs that focusing on the specialization, refinement, uniqueness, and innovation. And also we need to improve the business environment for all of these SMEs and the leading enterprises. And also, we have to make sure that we are focusing on the promoting of the digital and green transformation of the manufacturing industry, making sure that all these enterprises can go back to life, go back to work, and also to make more contribution to the economic development. And also, we need to promote the information development and also the 5G development. Even though the manufacturing industry was affected by the COVID-19, but still the fundamental of the industries are still in a good condition. We believe with the strong leadership of the State Council and CPC Central Committee and with the strong support with our neighboring cities, we are confident that we will have a good industry economy in the future and also make contribution to the national economy. Thank you. Next question, please.
谢谢主持人，农事网记者提问。现在正是小麦机收的关键时期啊。
So right now it is a very important time for the wheat harvest. A lot of people are concerning about the performance of the agricultural machinery. Will it be affected by COVID? I would like to understand what is the current situation. I would like to turn to Mr. Wang Jiayun to answer your question. Yes, indeed, as you said, the epidemic situation in China is still complicated, and during the summertime, it may have some of the impact for the operation of the agricultural machinery. And this year, we are working with the local agricultural cooperative and clarify the responsibilities. We have come up with a number of backup plans so as to make sure that we could have a good operation of the agricultural machinery. I would like to point out three things. First, we have to make sure that we are able to transport the agricultural machinery to different places. We have to remove all the barriers for the operation of the agricultural machinery. For example, we have to remove the barriers to transport some of the parts and units of the agricultural machinery, making sure that all the delivery of the parts of the agricultural machinery can be done. And also, we have been included the parts and units of the agricultural machinery as key supplies during the COVID containment period. For the drivers and the personnel, these people will receive a one-stop service. We have to make sure that all of these operators, they are able to provide valid health code and also a green health code so that these people can operate the agricultural machinery. For some of the vehicle, if they have to transport the units, they also enjoy this green channel. For some of the operator, if they are not able to provide a valid health code, we will check the antigen testing for these people to make sure that we will continue our work for the harvest. Second, we have to make sure that for the agricultural machineries are able to enter into the field and also to conduct the harvest work in different places. When necessary, we will provide some services to all of these agricultural machinery. We will also organize a number of mobile NAT facilities so that they could have the operator tested when necessary. And also, we will launch a hotline to monitor the situation of the wheat harvest, and we will do the troubleshooting as soon as possible. Third, we have to make sure that we have a good harvest of the wheat during the summertime, which is the sowing harvest and the management time. In the adverse situation, especially if we run into a very adverse weather, we will organize the operators to conduct the harvest work in advance. So for all of these harvests will be distributed to the farmers in time. We have to make sure that for those who are under lockdown, especially the farmers under lockdown, they can receive the harvest in time. Start from May the 29th, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs will dispatch 9 task forces to provide training on the rice harvest. And these people will go down to the field and look at the issues concerning the farmers, making sure that all the wheat could be harvested as needed. Thank you. Next question, please. With CMG, CCTV. As Mr. Lei just said, right now the epidemic situation in China is getting better, and now we are approaching to the Dragon Boat Festival. My question is whether our residents can travel to different cities. What are some of the reminders? Thank you. I would like to turn over to Mr. Lei Zhenglong to answer your question. Yes, indeed, the Dragon Boat Festival is coming. More and more people would like to travel to different places. However, the population flow may increase the risk of the transmission of the virus. The Disease Control Bureau and the National Health Commission attach great importance to the epidemic prevention and control work. We have sent out notifications to different localities. We require different places to continue their efforts for the containment. So for different localities, they have to clarify their responsibilities and to make sure that for different districts, there may be an authority to be accountable for the containment. Especially, we have to pay attention to the containment efforts in key areas such as the airports, train stations, etc. We will have to adding more service passage so as to shorten the queue and provide better services to our people, and making sure that for our people, they will not gather in a short period of time. And also, we have to arrange the nucleic acid testing site in a reasonable manner. And for the Sydney spot, they have to make sure that for all the tourists, they have to make appointments before they visit all of those tourist sites. And also for the tourist site, they have to check the temperature for all of these tourists. And for indoor places, they have to do a good job in the ventilation. We have to make sure that we could meet the needs of our people and make sure that they have a safe and a happy journey. As for our residents, so they have to understand the risk level of their travel destination. They have to wear their face mask, exercise social distancing, and also they have to mind their own safety. Make sure you do not visit those high or mid-risk regions. What we are doing is trying to consolidate the hard-won efforts we have made during the containment. Thank you. Next question, please.
第一排第3位男记者。
谢谢主持人。人民日报记者提问。
With People's Daily. So right now we still see a lot of sporadic cases in different parts of China. This may also pose some threats on the supply of the non-grain food and the grain food. What measures will be taken by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs in terms of this issue? I would like to turn over to Mr. Song Danyang to answer your question. Start from this year, in order to coordinate the COVID response with the supply of the non-grain food, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs have been earnestly implementing the decisions and deployment made by CPC Central Committee and the State Council. We monitor the market situation in different parts of China. When necessary, we'll mobilize the resources and materials, and also we work with different departments to ensure we have sufficient non-grain food. What we are doing is to ensure that we have sufficient supply of the daily food and non-grain food. First, we abide by the instruction from the State Council. We work with the National Health Commission and release a guideline on coordination of COVID response with spring farming. And also, we issue a notification on the coordination of COVID response with supply of non-grain food. We have taken detailed actions to provide support of the production. We have to make sure that we could stabilize the production and also to ensure sufficient supply to our people. Second, we also monitor the stocking in different markets in China. We also publish a price index for all the non-grain food. Especially to Shanghai and Jilin, we will provide more non-grain food to these two places. Especially for those badly hit regions, we will make sure that we can provide sufficient supply of the non-grain food. We also work together with the Ministry of Transport to make sure that the non-grain food is one of the key supplies during the COVID-19 period, to make sure that we have a good circulation of the non-grain food. We also establish a task force to ensure the transportation of the agricultural means of production. We also set up a hotline to receive the suggestions from the public, making sure that we could control the amount of the agricultural means of production. Going next, we will continue to follow the decision from the State Council and make sure that we could stabilize the production and ensure the supply. First, we will continue to provide guidance to different localities. We have to take differentiated measures in different regions and make sure that the production could be carried out in an orderly manner. We will also guide the medium and large-sized cities to enlarge their production. Second, we will monitor the amount of vegetable available in the field. And also we have to stabilize the production of the aquatic products, and we have to increase the frequency of checking the quality of all of these non-grain foods, making sure that all the food we provided to our people are safe. Third, we have to smooth out the transportation means. We will guide the different localities, and also we have to open up the green channel for the transportation of the non-grain food and other key supplies. We would like to establish a very healthy production and marketing chain, and we will work with the online platforms and the offline platforms, and these places should work together with the production site so as to receive all of these non-grain food. And we will pay close attention to the change of the epidemic situation in China, and also to come up with a very reasonable price index. We also need to come up with a backup plan and contingency plan to make sure that we could provide sufficient supply of the non-grain food. Thank you. Next question, please. With Phoenix TV. So what is the role of the government to boost the development of the manufacturing industry? Thank you. Thank you for your question. For the government, they will pay attention to two areas. First, it will increase the coordination, and the second will provide good service guarantee. We have to clarify the responsibility for all of these manufacturing enterprises. We need to provide more policies to benefit all of those enterprises. We also need to come up with a contingency plan for different enterprises. We need to take differentiated measures to the enterprises that are located in different level of risk regions. And third, for some of the enterprises, if they are not able to come back to work, especially for key enterprises, if they are responsible for people's livelihood or key supplies, the local authorities have to intervene and also to provide some of the subsidies and the support for those companies to make sure that all of those enterprises could continue to work and provide supplies. Second, we have to make sure that we could ensure a good relation of the demand and supply. We also need to establish a whitelist, and also we will encourage enterprises in the lockdown regions. If these enterprises are very key in providing the daily necessities and the key supplies, all these enterprises need to resume their production as soon as possible. And if they're running respond to some issues, the MIIT will provide support to all of these enterprises. Third, we have to ensure a smooth logistics. For example, we will send up the pass for the vehicles. We will also check the health condition of all of the drivers, facilitating the transportation, making sure that they will not bring virus to different parts of China. And especially, we will pay attention to the operation of the closed-loop management enterprises. We will provide customized policies to all of those enterprises. And also, we have to make sure that people's daily necessities can be met. For some of the enterprises, if they are not able to resume their work, we would like to create favorable conditions for them to resume their work. And also, we are focusing on some of the work production for key enterprises and key industries. Thank you. With Guangming Daily, my question is about the latest situation about the vaccination, especially what is the progress for the vaccination for people above 60 years old? Thank you for your question. According to the deployment of the State Council Interagency Task Force, we also continue to encourage different localities to move along with the vaccination. So as of June the 1st, 3.3 billion doses of vaccines have been administering, and also over 1.2 billion people have received the doses of the vaccination. And also, we have over 700 million people have completed the booster shot. And as you mentioned, for people above 60 years old, we have over 200 million senior citizens receive the vaccination. And this amount of people accounting 80% of the total senior population. In general, the vaccination is rolling out in a smooth manner, and for different places, they have accumulated valuable experience. We also require all the localities to clarify their responsibilities. We also want to remind those residents, if they have not yet getting vaccinated, make sure you get the shot. Thank you. With Xinhua News Agency. My question is, so last year for the food harvest, many people are saying that if we are using the agricultural machinery for the harvest, it will also help us to improve the efficiency and quality. Can you tell us more about the situation this year? Thank you. Well, if we could reduce the loss, meaning that we will improve the quality and the efficiency. If the harvest capacity can be improved, meaning that we can increase the amount of the production. So right now we are using the harvester to collect the wheat. And this will also increase the quality and efficiency. If we could improve the capacity of the machinery, and if the operator can better operate the agricultural machinery, and we think we could do even better for the harvest. Last year, I think we already include this task as a major initiative for this year, and this year we will take 3 measures. First, we will continue to upgrade the agricultural machinery. We will use more intelligent machinery and also offer subsidies for the agricultural machinery. And we will step up efforts for the R&D with the agricultural machinery. And we will fill in the weak links in this area. And the second, we will provide more training to the operators. We will compile suggestions and the guidelines, and we will go to the field and provide hands-on training to the operators so they could better understand how to operate the agricultural machinery and increase the daily harvest capacity, making sure that these people will reduce the loss and improve the efficiency for the wheat harvest. And also we will conduct competition in different villages. And this will also increase the morale for the operators. Third, we will continue to monitor the harvest. For some of the counties, if they have the farmland over 50 mu, we will monitor the harvest situation in those regions. And when necessary, we will also come up with policies to help with their wheat harvest. Thank you. Next question, please.
谢谢发言人。21世纪经济报的记者提问。
With 21st Century Economic Daily,
在本轮疫情防
for the MIT, it has established a whitelist, and this has played a key role in fighting against COVID. Are we going to adjust the whitelist in the future? Thank you for your question. The industry chain is very important for us. In order to stabilize the industrial economy, we have to make sure that we can maintain a good industrial chain and the supply chain. So we are taking at the actual situations in different parts of China. We are trying to find out some of the weakness of the supply and industrial chain. And by no time, we establish the white list to stabilize the industrial economy. In March, we established the white list, and this will include over 300 pharmaceutical companies to make sure that we could ensure the medical supplies. And in April, we are focusing on the spring plowing and summer sowing, and we are able to come up with the white list containing some of the agricultural companies and also the companies that will provide the agricultural means of production. We are trying our best to making sure that the supply and the industrial chain could be smooth. And for automobile and integrated circuit, we also set up a special platform to link the upstream and the downstream, and also we are coming up with the alarming system to facilitate the work resumption. In May, we review the white list. Especially when we look at the work resumption rate, we have dynamically adjusted the white list. So right now, we have over 1,700 enterprises in the white list. And also, we have provincial level white list containing about 28,000 enterprises. We are trying our best to resolve some of the barriers and the weak links. And also, we are able to adjust to over 43,000 issues and questions. And right now, we are seeing more and more enterprises and coming back to work. But still, I would like to emphasize that for the white list, it is a very important measure to stabilize the supply and industrial chain. But the ultimate goal is to realize the full work resumption. Next question, please.
谢谢主持人。封面新闻记者提问：我们注意到受疫情和油价上涨等因素的影响，有的地方担心收紧COVID-19 and also the 贵的问题。请问农业农村部在促进
oil price increase
方面有哪些措施？谢谢。
We are seeing that it is very difficult to get some of the agriculture machinery work in the field. So what measures will be taken by the Ministry of Agriculture? So for most of the wheat, we are using the agriculture machinery to collect the wheat. Actually, over like 80% of the wheat harvest is performed by the agriculture machinery. I think it is very important right now to harvest the wheat through the agriculture machinery, and it is our top priority. So right now, during the summertime, we have already kickstarted the harvest. So each day, we are able to complete over 100,000 mu of wheat by agriculture machinery. If we look at the maintenance of the agriculture machinery, so in China, we will invest it over 650,000 sets of the agriculture machinery, and we have sufficient sets of the agriculture machinery to conduct the harvest work of the wheat. As of yesterday, we have already collected the wheat from 80.7 million mu, and actually this speed is much faster than last year. And this year is quite unique, because in the summertime this year, we may face a lot of challenges, such as the COVID re-emergence and also the increase of the oil price. So first, we have to pay attention to the parameters of the agriculture machinery. We have to make sure that all of this machinery are safe to operate. And for around 800 counties, we have to make sure that they could receive sufficient sets of the machinery. For some of the counties, maybe they're not able to receive sufficient machinery. If they have a tight balance of the agriculture machinery, we will try our best to allocate and mobilize resources from different regions to help them with the wheat harvest. And the second, we will take targeted measures. We have to understand the requirements and the needs from different villages and the counties. We need to have a contact point in different villages and the counties. And we will work directly with the operators for the agricultural machineries. So before 5 days of the harvest operation, and we have to make sure that everything is getting ready. And third, we will talk about the oil price. We have to take preferential measures to offer a good price for the oil that could be used by the agricultural machinery. We will provide the petroleum and the oil to the field immediately. And also in different places, they could enjoy at least like 3% discount if you are buying the oil for the agricultural machinery. And by taking all of these preferential measures, it will reduce the cost of the operation of the agricultural machinery. Two last questions.
谢谢。我想问一下农村部。
My question is also to Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. So in the past few months, as you know, the epidemic situation is very severe. And does that have any impact on the supply of the non-grain food? And any measures we will take to ensure the supply during the Dragon Boat Festival? Thank you. The non-grain food closely related to people's livelihood, especially when we are at the critical time in the prevention and control of COVID-19. We have to make sure that we could stabilize the production and ensure the supply of the non-grain food. By taking all the situation into account, so right now, we have a good production of the meat, egg, milk, vegetable, and the aquatic products. So right now, we have sufficient stock in the market. We could meet the needs of our people. Last year, the pork production have already recovered, and this year, we continue to improve the production of the pork. By the end of April, pork in stock, it is about 41.1 million live pigs. So this is quite an optimistic figure. And this is within our reasonable range. As for the price of the pork, right now you could see a rebound of the price. For the past 1 week, the wholesale price for pork is 21.16 yuan per kilogram, up by 1.5% year-over-year. And for the raise of the cost for the raise of the pork have break even, and also we have very stable production of the beef, lamb, and the poultry, and also the price is relatively stable. And the price of egg also coming down, and the price is 10.4 RMB per kilogram. If we look at the fruit and the vegetables, and right now we have over 100 million more vegetables available in the field. In mid-May, the production of the vegetable is 26.65 million tons. And also, for the vegetables monitored by Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, we also see a decline for 8 consecutive weeks. If we look at the price of the non-grain food, it's relatively stable compared to last year. For some of the summer fruit, so now we are starting to sell watermelons and other fruits in summer. We monitor 6 key fruits, and the price is about 7 RMB per kilogram, and also this figure is down compared to last year. As the temperature continues to increase, we will have more vegetables and fruit in the market, and we will see more varieties. And also we have sufficient meat, egg, and milk, and this will also meet the needs of our people. In the Dragon Boat Festival, we have sufficient supply of all of those non-grain food. We are confident that we could maintain the price of this food. One last question, please. With CMG CGTN, my question is that for the enterprises, how can they stabilize their production during the COVID-affected time? I would like to invite Madame Tao Jing to answer your question. So based on our experience, I think for enterprises, if they have a contingency plan, and they could deal with this situation much better. So my advice is that for those enterprises, they need to come up with a contingency plan. For example, they could come up with a closed-loop production plan. And also they need to provide clear instructions and guidance to their employees. For example, they have to improve their management of their employees and to make sure that they can provide sufficient supplies to their employees. And second, they have to stock daily necessities and also the materials that they need for the production. And also they have to reserve sufficient raw materials and units. And also they need to come up with an alert line and to replenish when necessary. Third, they have to do a good job for the transportation of the production units and materials. They have to come up with a reasonable route for the transferring of the materials. We advise all of these enterprises to work with the logistics companies for the transportation. And also, we advise them to set up different sections to manage the materials that they use for the production. First, they have to come up with a contingency plan. Once there is the epidemic occurred, if they have to do the manufacturing work in the closed loop, they need to register their employees' information, and also they need to arrange the accommodation as reasonable. By taking all of these actions, these people can take a science-based approach to minimize the impact to the enterprises. Thank you. So in today's press conference, our guest gives us a lot of information about the COVID response, and also they talk about the production of the key industries, such as the rural areas and also the MIIT. And in the future, we'll organize more press conferences to give you more updates. Thank you.